Well, 49ers, after coming off of a Super Bowl loss again, now there's a lot of pressure on a player and a coach. So let's rock, and I will explain. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Antonio, and welcome back to the All Around Sports channel where I go over everything NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB across the four major sport brands and also along with some on the outside. But today we are going over which player and head coach, what player and coach are under the most pressure this season for the 49ers. Now, as we all know, the 49ers ended up losing in the Super Bowl again. So, because of that reason, I wanted to make this special video. So, today I'm going to be going over my top player and coach that I think has the most pressure this season to prove themselves that they can win a Super Bowl because they've not been able to for the past 30 years. So we'll, of course, see what happens this year. But before we get started, I wanted to mention two things. First, I am trying to aim for 375 subscribers before the beginning of the NFL season, which starts on September 5th between the Ravens and the Chiefs. So if we can hit that margin by that time, that would be amazing if we could hit that margin. But anyways, before we get started, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, let's get this thing started. So the 49ers player that has the most pressure on him this season is pretty obvious when you're Mr. Irrelevant. It is Brock Purdy. Now, he did reach out to me sometime during the playoffs when he came back from those deficits against both the Lions and the Packers. So that really helped it. But we all know when you're a player on the 49ers, you have got to finish the job. And the fact is that the 49ers have not finished the job since 1995 when Steve Young was their quarterback. But why I have Brock Purdy up here is because we all know that Brock Purdy was the lowest pick to be selected in the to play in the Super Bowl last year as a starting QB. But also he had the chance to join four of the quarterbacks that had 2 years under their belt to win a Super Bowl, which those names were Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, Ben Roethlisberger, and Russell Wilson, who played with the Seahawks, by the way. And why I bring Purdy up is he ranked almost number one in every single category you can think of in touchdown interception ratio, in total passing yards, total rush yards, and in every single category you can think of. And if you have the weapons of CMC, Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle around you, you should have won the Super Bowl. And the and I'm still uncertain on why the 49ers didn't even know the overtime rules going into the Super Bowl. I mean, as a 49ers player and coach, you cannot make that mistake. I mean, that is ridiculous on not even knowing the overtime rules that have been in place for the past two seasons, which this game was the first time we've seen the overtime rules in place. I don't understand how Kyle Shanahan and the all the players on the Niners roster didn't even know the rules. They elected to receive and they couldn't even score a touchdown. They not only made themselves look bad, but they also made the Bills look bad and the entire league look bad for even changing the rule in the first place. Because you didn't even score a touchdown. You had a man wide open on third down on that drive. You had a man wide open on third down when you were in field goal range. You couldn't even get it to him. and you ended up kicking a field goal, which we all know ain't gonna fly when you play a guy named Patrick Mahomes. We all know that. But Purdy is the top player on the Niners with the most pressure on his heels. So, with the top head coach with the most approved, I believe it's pretty obvious, it is Kyle Shanahan. And let me explain why. According to NFL.com's top 10 offensive units in 2024, according to this list, the 49ers ranked number one in that list, ahead of Kansas City. Now, I do believe that is part of the offensive side, not the defensive side, and it does say that. So, here's the thing. I said a few things back a few videos ago when I went over the top 5 things on Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers to win a Super Bowl. So, pretty much, so let me go over the teams that he has that this is ranked that the 49ers are ranked ahead of. So they are ranked ahead of the Chiefs that sit at number 2, the Lions that stand at number 3, Rams that stand at number 4, the Bengals that stand at 5, Dolphins that stand at 6, Packers that stand at 7, Bills that stand at 8, even though they have a new receiver core this year, which is going to be interesting to see. And then, of course, Houston with the team that they are rising up from the ashes that they are right now. And then also the Indianapolis Colts, which I do think is going to be a sleeper team this year. But my point is the Niners have been in this position for the past 5 years. They have been in this Super Bowl contention area. Now, I wanted to go over something else, and this is something I looked up. So I looked up all of the 49ers achievements since their 1995 Super Bowl win. Now, this is, of course, after all that. But let me go over these things that I think have a feeling need to be said. Total amount of NFC West titles that they have had 7. Total amount of playoff appearances 12. Total NFC championship appearances 8. And in 3 of them they have won, which have led to their 3 Super Bowl appearances where they lost the first one to the Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens, which was one of the greatest defenses we've ever seen. Of course, with Ray Lewis being one of the most hated defensive players of all time. And then also the 2014 season where they played my Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, when was probably remarked as one of the most famous post-game conferences in the history of the NFL by Richard Sherman, after, of course, the beef with Micah Crabtree. And then lastly, the NFC Championship game that they won against the in 2019 against the Packers, I believe it was. And then they would go on to lose in the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs when they had the 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go, which I don't even know why they gave those points up with 7 minutes to go in the game. But anyways, and then lastly, another loss that they suffered in the championships were to the Rams a few seasons ago, and then the Eagles when Purdy was injured, which they proved them wrong this past season. But then they went to the Super Bowl again this year in my hometown, Las Vegas. Now, my grandma is a 49ers fan. My grandma's a diehard 49ers fan, has lived since the Joe Montana days. And she's told me in texts that she is getting really tired of Kyle Shanahan. And it's her words, not mine. It's her words, not mine. And she's family. So I constantly talk with my grandma about this. And she constantly gets fed up with the draft choices they made, like Ricky Pearsall, which I completely didn't understand at all.
Huh? Huh?
And then And also, along with a few other picks, they also selected another running back and another wide receiver, which I don't understand that when you already have the receiver core that you already have. Now, Brock unless Brandon Ayuk does get traded, now that would make sense. Which rumors have stated. I read something recently about this. Hold on, let me pull that up really quick. That is, if I can find it. Hold on, just a second. Trying to find it. I looked this up. So, hold on. I was trying to find it. So, according to something I saw on Brandon Ayuk, it said that he was um, probably going to go to the Patriots. Now, I don't know if this is true, but let me see here. So, let me look at news. Nothing about that yet, but it was a recent rumor that recently came out. I don't know if it's true. But if the 49ers do trade Ayuk, then I would completely agree on the Ricky Pearsall draft. But Ricky Pearsall, I don't know if he's that good. And to prove this, I have looked up Ricky Pearsall's stat line according to sportsdata.usatoday.com. So, according to this, let me go over some stats on Ricky Pearsall to those 49er fans. Total amount of yards per game, 80.4. Total receiving yards this season, 965. Total amount of receptions, 65. Four of them have been receiving touchdowns. He has had one fumble and one fumble lost. And this, this is what I was trying to tell people, that Ricky Pearsall is a bust because of those stats right there. He had 4 touchdowns last season with the Gators, which is which the Florida Gators, the last time they ever had a receiver that was relatively decent. Now it actually happened to be a Seahawk player that was the last superstar to be a really good player from the University of Florida. It was Percy Harvin. Now, Percy Harvin was a part of that championship run. So, and I'm going to look up his stats here. So, I'm going to look up his stats from his 2 seasons with the Seattle from his career. So, a total amount of receptions per game. He had 300, during his season. He had, his career. Total, he had 353 receptions, and he also, along with, had 522 targets, 4,026 yards. He had an average of 11.4. His total amount of touchdowns in his career was a total of 22. And then also along on top of that, had a total of 5 fumbles. And yeah, pretty much. And then let me go over his stats from the Seattle Seahawks. So now he did not do much during his time when he was with Seattle, but he did make that kick return during the Super Bowl 48, which was the largest blowout to ever take place in a Super Bowl. So Percy Harvin was the last Florida Gator who actually ended up being a superstar. Ricky Pearsall, he didn't even have the same amount of numbers as Ricky Pearsall did. And sure, Ricky Pearsall could be a really good player, but we need to see it first. We need to see if he's actually going to be used in this offense, which already has Debo, Ayuk as 2 receivers, and then also along with Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. So of course we'll see what happens, but that's why Kyle Shanahan is on this top part of the list. Let me know in the comments what you guys think down in the comment section below. What 49ers player and coach do you guys think is under the most pressure entering the NFL season. And to remind everyone of the ones I chose, here it is up on the screen right here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.